Sorry, my lighting is not the greatest today. Hi, Tina. Typically, I don't go live this time of day, so I don't have like sun blaring in from behind me, but that's okay. So, if this is the first time you've been on my channel, welcome. I'm super excited about this. And if not, you already know I share all things homeschooling and journaling and positive mindset and all that good stuff. So, hi Jennifer. So you're going to want to grab a notebook and a pen. And this is part of the July giveaway. So if you are wanting to be part of that, go ahead and click share this onto your page, and then comment below that you did share. We'll be giving away a gift card at the end of this month. So I'm pretty excited about that. So once you have a pen and paper, drop me a 1 in the comments just so I can know to go ahead and get started. No, wait just a couple of seconds because typically it is a little bit delayed. All right, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All right, good. I think we're good. Okay, the first thing I want you to write down, we'll get into the actual lesson part of this in a second, but the first thing I want you to write down is write down the 5 people that you admire the most. So these are going to be people in your real life. You're not going to write down movie stars or, you know, people that you never in a million years have a chance to meet. Write down 5 people in your real life that you admire the most. And if you can't think of 5 people, we'll talk about that in a few minutes too. But write down 5 people in your real life that you admire the most. Hi, Brianne. Yes, Jasmine, this will be saved. So you can listen in, interact on here, and then, I mean, you're probably watching on your phone. I would say just use your phone, but can't do that. But yeah, you can get your wheels turning while we're talking, and then you can do the actual exercise later. So 5 people that you admire the most. Once you have that written down, drop me a 2 in the comments. Okay, and then the 5 people you admire the most, I want you to write 1 characteristic for each of those people that you admire. So I'm just going to give you examples of showing some of the people I admire the most. One of them is April Jennings. You guys, most of you know her. Some of you don't. But she is someone that I look up to and more for posture and professionalism. So that's 1 character, like the main character of hers, that I very much admire. Denise Walsh is another one. Again, some of y'all know her, some of you don't. That's okay. She's an author / motivational speaker, and I've had the opportunity to interview her and just be around her, and I can tell you she's every bit as awesome in person as she comes through on her books, which is pretty cool because a lot of times there's a disconnect between the two. And something that I really admire about her is she loves to help people. She loves to serve. Like, her passion is very much helping and inspiring women, and that is something that I just think is amazing. And then there's 3 more on here that I'm not going to say. One of them, however, I very much admire because she puts her family in like such a, I guess, a passion for keeping her house and child rearing and just being an amazing wife and mom. Another one on here that I wrote down, I admire the fact that she never quits. Ever. Like, this girl started in the business that we do. Like, those of you that don't know, I guess that's fine. Most of you following me already know, I pay my bills by advertising on social media. So kind of outside the box, but I love it, and it's something I help other people do. But I had somebody start and didn't catch on real quick. Just took a little while to kind of learn the ropes and figure things out, and she did not quit. She did not complain. She just like kept grinding until it clicked and she started making pretty decent money. So that kind of characteristic is something I really admire. It's just the grit to keep going. People quit on themselves way too easily in this business. I had someone yesterday decide to do it and decided to quit in like 24 hours, like completely gave up on themselves before they even watched the first training video. So sometimes you run across people like that, and it really makes you think like, wow, if they quit on themselves that easily, like what else do they quit on in their lives? The last one is somebody I admire because he has a very big influence. And he's somebody who, he has a big influence because he shares so much value with people. So that's something, again, that I very much strive to do, is just share enough value to where my influence increases, and I can just keep reaching people the way that I've been reaching them. So once you have 5 people down that you look up to or that you admire, and then you have a characteristic written for each of those, then I want you, so number 3, I want you to write down who are the 5 people that you hang around the most and that you listen to the most. Now, very few of you, the 5 people that you admire the most, will be the same 5 people that you hang around the most. Now, I can tell you mine are the same 5 people, but it's because I've done this exercise probably 12 times. So don't kick yourself. It probably is not going to be the same 5 people. And I can tell you for a long time, mine was not the same 5 people. The last 12 months, Brett and I have spent leveling up our circle of influence because we were letting the wrong people influence us. And me specifically, one thing that I was struggling with is I was letting moms influence me who weren't putting their best forward for their kid. So it made me feel good because I was like, oh, if I compared myself to them, right? I was like, I'm like super mom. But in reality, I was not putting my best foot forward for my daughter because I was comparing myself to people who weren't. So when you compare yourself and you're around somebody all the time that you are doing so much more than, and I'm not saying you're better than, you're just more productive in whatever area of life, then you have that false sense of security about how great you are, when in reality, you're just hanging around the wrong person. You should be hanging around people who make you want to do better, not that make you feel good about your lazy days. So 5 people you hang around the most, and then I want you to write the main characteristic of each of those people. Now, I'm not saying the main good one, I'm saying the main one in general. So, for example, I have 5 people written down that I will not tell you their names because I have no interest in slamming people on Facebook. But, and they're all 5 women. One of them, she was known for being the gossip. She would talk bad to you about somebody else, and so you knew as soon as she turned around, she was probably talking about you to the other person. Because it was every single time she was talking bad about somebody. The second one was very lazy. Very much cut corners when it came to her kids, her house. You know, if she could get away with not doing it, she wouldn't do it. The next one had very little discipline in her own home. It was one of those that the kids very much ran the home. And sometimes that's the case. And sometimes you have to take a hard look and you are working at fixing that. But I'm talking about somebody who wasn't working at fixing it. It was kind of, oh, well, you know, I have this many kids and I have this going on. It wasn't, I don't hang out. Well, Tina, who do you listen to the most? When you are, whether you're listening to podcasts or you're getting on Zoom calls, or maybe, now, obviously it's Corona right now, it's a little different, but if you're honestly not hanging out with anybody, I would suggest you start hanging out with people on purpose that make you level up. Because we are the sum of the 5 people we hang around. If we're not hanging around anybody, then we're going to stay stagnant. And that's just something that's within our human personality, is we push to be better than the people that we're around. Not in a bad way. It just inspires us to level up, so to speak. The next thing I wrote down was, victim mentality / very, very critical. I remember having one friend, we both started in network marketing about the same time. She was super nice until my business took off and hers kind of didn't do anything. And then it became very much like, oh, well, you only have one kid. And, oh, well, you know, your husband helps. And I don't even know, just so many different things. And it was like, instead of saying what was true, which I was working harder and working smarter than she was, I was learning how to do marketing. She was plastering, product pictures all over her page. It was the victim mentality really kicked in. And it made me feel bad about myself and my success because she was mad about it. And then the last one was the positive victim. Now this one's tricky because they're positive, they're honest, they're funny, they're nice. Overall, they're a very good person. But when it comes down to it, they still have the victim mentality. They fail to acknowledge that everything in their life is a choice, because it's easier to say, well, I can't do this because I have this many kids. And it's so awesome that you're doing that. You're doing so amazing. I just can't do that. I have anxiety. So everything they're very positive about it, but when it comes down to it and you strip all the super nice, fluffy rainbow layers away, they still have a victim mentality. Now, the homework, actually, no, I'm going to tell you this in a minute. Never mind. So, because you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang around, if you're hanging around people with negative characteristics, you are going to have a lot of those negative characteristics, and you won't even know it. Guys, when I started into this, and I was hanging around people that were making 5 and 6 figures a month, and I started getting around those people, I realized real quick I had a victim mentality. Now, I was very positive about it, but I still had it. And I had the mentality of, I'm doing enough because I'm better than so-and-so. And again, not a better person, but better at whatever area of life. Oh, snap, me, hot mess mom. Yes, but if you're working to fix it and you acknowledge it, that's where the first step is. If you are sitting back and saying, I don't have a problem, I don't have a problem, you're just judging me, then you have a problem. Does that make sense? Like, everyone's going to have areas where they can improve on. I have 1,000 areas that I need to improve on and that I'm consistently working on, and that a billion other people do better than me. But I acknowledge those areas and I'm consistently working on them. I'm not sitting back saying, well, for example, I consistently work on getting up and working out every day. I could easily sit back and be like, oh, well, she has more time than me, that's why she does it. Or she's already skinny, so of course she likes working out. Or, well, her husband works out with her, so, I could sit back and play every victim in my mind of why I'm not doing the thing, when in reality, brass tacks is I'm not doing the thing and I need to figure out how to get it done. So, now what I'm not telling you to do, yes, you need to start hanging around people who make you level up. I'm not telling you to cut anybody out of your life. I do not believe in the cancel mentality, but those are not the people you should be giving the most of your time to. I don't have, weekly coffee dates with the people who are not helping me level up, and then not have time for the ones that would be. Now, usually, the people who are not doing more than you are the ones that make you feel good. They're the ones that you get around, and they're the ones that it's so easy to hang around because they make you feel like you're doing amazing. But those aren't the people that are helping you grow. Those are the people that are making you feel good, therefore helping you stay stagnant and eventually start dipping your own standards. I vividly remember sitting in a room of moms telling me that they didn't have time to help their kids memorize the Bible because they didn't have time. And using excuses like, well, you're lucky because you homeschool. And I remember thinking, man, I must be doing a lot more than normal moms do. And then I decided to get around moms who the Bible was the emphasis in their home. And I realized real quick that I was not doing my daughter justice whatsoever. But because I had been listening to what was normal for so long and allowing myself to be like, you know what, I have all these excuses, all these things that I could be doing. I don't have time. I do this, I do this, I do this. I was doing a disservice to my own daughter I was making myself feel good at the expense of my own daughter, which is not a good thing. And again, I'm just being very vulnerable with you guys. I went through that season of life. And I would say the last 6 to 12 months really showed me how much more I should have been doing and how complacent I had become because I was comparing myself to the 5 people I was hanging around the most, and I happened to be doing the most work out of all of them. And again, I'm not saying that to brag. We all have different seasons in our life, and that is 1,000% okay. But if you find yourself the hardest worker in the room, you need to get a new room. And again, I'm not saying you set the old one on fire, but I am saying that you need to move to a new room and then gradually maybe invite some of those people back in. And the ones that were toxic, maybe you don't need to hang around as much. So again, don't cut people out unless they honestly are toxic. But most people aren't toxic. Most people just aren't growing. So you need to get around people that are growing. It doesn't mean that all those people are bad. Let's see. So the reason that this all kind of came about is I was reading in Matthew 14, and some of y'all that have been getting on my lives the last few days, you're like, okay, like stop talking about Matthew 14, but there are so many parts to it. Like, no joke, I read the 1 chapter and got like 2 lessons, 2 coffee chats, and a couple little tidbits out of it that I was like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking good. Yes, you could. Yes, thank you for sharing. You're in the drawing. So if you guys won in the drawing for the gift card, just share this video, and just comment below that you shared, so I know to put you in the drawing. So in Matthew 14, I'm just going to give you a little backstory because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, main people that it's talking about, and that is John the Baptist, which I think everyone probably knows who that is. Herod Antipas, and I probably am saying his name wrong. I'm not very good with names, but he was the king or ruler or whatever the term was for him. Philip, who was Herod's half brother. So you have the king and the king's half brother, and then you have Herodias, I think is her name, and that is Philip's wife. So the king's sister-in-law, basically. And then you have her daughter. So you've got 5 main characters: John the Baptist, King Herod, his brother, his sister-in-law, and his niece. Basically is how this plays out. So the Bible talks about how King Herod basically moves Herodias in with him, and they shack up. So he's literally shacking up with his brother's wife, or his half-brother's wife. And John the Baptist calls him out and tells him, like, hey, this is a sin. You're not supposed to be doing this. But because of that, King Herod did not want to be shamed, so he threw John the Baptist in prison. How many of you, when somebody calls you out on your crap, instead of acknowledging them and fixing it, it's a lot easier to either brush it under the rug and just cut that person out of your life, or even turn the tables on them and start questioning some of their character. I've been there. I've been on both ends. I've been where someone's calling me out on my crap, and it's a lot easier, like, oh, did you hear what so-and-so did? And I've been on the receiving end of that, where I've been the one that's like, you know, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. This is not what the Bible says. And instead of them receiving that, it's, oh, did you hear what Tanya and Brett did? You hear what Tanya said? So I've been on both ends. Unfortunately, like, I'm saddened to say I've been on the end of me being the one cutting somebody down. And so he threw him in prison, but the Bible says he didn't want to kill him. Like, he knew better than that. He did not want to kill him. However, the Bible talks about how one night they're having basically a party, a feast. I don't know, again, theology's not my deal, y'all. So if you're a Bible major, don't hold me on this. Been on both too. Yeah. And I think if we're honest, most of us can say that we've been on both ends. Most of us, not all. Some of y'all are better Christians than I am. But I didn't get right with God until I was a mom. My kid's almost 6, so not super long ago. And I had a very messy life before that. So I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of, but I've definitely learned from them. So the Bible says they're having this feast, and Herodias' daughter it says he's dancing before the king, and it's pleasing him. So again, not a theologian. However, the picture I get in my mind is she's probably not dancing like praising Jesus dancing. I'm picturing like some booty popping up in there. Not something that a niece and her uncle should be doing, if that makes sense. And the Bible says that it pleased him, and I believe it was her birthday. I think that's what it was. It was her birthday, around her birthday, some special occasion. And he basically was like, you can have anything you want. What do you want? And her mom had conspired before this and been like conniving little witches. And she said, I want John the Baptist's head on a plate. She basically was like, go kill that dude that you didn't want to kill because my mom doesn't want him like outing us. And so, remember, King Herod wasn't going to kill him. But because his daughter or his niece asked for it and all the people around are watching, and he just gave his word that he would give her whatever she wanted, he went and killed John the Baptist and delivered his head on a platter. Or had someone kill him, or again, I don't know the details, but the Bible says he got killed. So, had he not been hanging around people he shouldn't have been hanging around, probably wouldn't have murdered somebody. Well, actually, I don't know, because I think he murdered more than that. I know he murdered more than that. He probably wouldn't have murdered John the Baptist. But because there was so much peer pressure, and all these eyes were on him, and he was doing something he already wasn't supposed to be doing, because one bad decision usually snowballs until, boom, you're making a lot of bad decisions. So it starts with you hanging around the wrong dang people. And I can't tell you how many times I talk to really good men and women who are in awful situations, and it started with hanging around somebody they shouldn't have been hanging around. Now, obviously, I don't think any of y'all are hanging around anybody who's going to turn you into a murderer, okay? Let's just be honest. It's probably not going to be that drastic of a mistake. But it absolutely could be, maybe you are working this business. Maybe you're like me and you have big dreams and you're helping a lot of people make money for their families. However, someone's in your ear talking to you about, oh, are you sure that's a good thing to do? Are you sure it's legit? Are you sure it's not a scam? And listen, some of y'all are watching me, been wanting to join for a while, and you're listening to that and you haven't even started. You're letting the wrong person rob you of your future. I literally heard a quote that I thought was like so awesome. It basically said something to the effect of, the person you're listening to better be paying your bills in 10 years because they just robbed you of your future. I was like, dude, that's so heavy. It might be that you and your husband are in a little bit of a rocky place. It happens. Brett and I have been there. You know, there's lots of good resources out there. No one has a perfect marriage. But you got a girlfriend talking to you about, you need to leave him. He is no good. He's a loser. And you know what? If you don't shut her up, you might end up in a divorce that could have been saved, or could have been not saved. A divorce that could have been, crap, I can't think of the word when you like dodge it. I can't think of the word. But a divorce that could have been prevented. That's what it is. Had you shut the person up that's talking in your ear and you focus on the actual problem and making it better. Listen, you may have kids that you are doing the very best that you possibly can for, but you're letting them hang around people they have no business hanging around. And when they're teenagers, you're going to wonder, where did I go wrong? You didn't. That friend went wrong, and your daughter had no business hanging around that girl or that boy. So, lots of times, I think the biggest safeguard avoided, yes, y'all, I promise I am not dumb. Avoided is the word I was looking for. But a lot of times, the biggest mistakes in our lives and the being robbed of so much joy can be avoided if we stopped hanging around certain people. Or again, at the very least, I'm not saying you cancel them. Like, I believe everyone can change. I believe in loving everybody. But you don't give all of your time and all of your energy to somebody who's not making you a better person. Especially not somebody who's in your ear talking to you about something you're doing to make your life better, and they're bringing you down. So don't have much more to say on that. I could ramble forever, but I'm not going to. I've got to get ready and go to church. A lot of y'all have stuff you're doing today. So your homework, and this is all I want you to do, is I want you to write down one person that you should stop giving so much time to. And I'm thinking of one person right now, not in my life, but I'm thinking of a lady. I had to stop listening to people when my husband and I were separated or we would have divorced. Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm thinking of a lady who did really good with her kids, but she had a friend who raised her kids much differently, let them get away with a lot more stuff. And these moms liked hanging out all the time. Therefore, their kids were together all the time. The two little girls, about the same age, by the time they were 16, the one got pregnant. The other one was on a very good track. And then all of a sudden started seeing this one that got pregnant getting doted on with baby showers. And what looked like really good. And I'm not saying you shouldn't help people like that. Again. However, it looked glamorous. So this one went out, ended up getting herself pregnant. Do you think as a 16-year-old, getting a few presents for a new baby is worth being pregnant? I'm going to say no. Now again, if you were 16 and pregnant and, that's your story, definitely not saying anything bad about you. But I think you can agree you don't want your kids following in that footstep. So, having said all that, write down one person that you probably should stop hanging around. Again, at least not primarily. Then I want you to write down one person that you had on your admiring list, and I want you to write down one of those people that you're going to strive in the next week to reach out and start building a relationship with. It could be sending them a simple note in the mail, letting them know, like, hey, I really admire this about you. Thank you for pushing me to be better in this area. It could be a Facebook message. Excuse me. It literally could be anything, depending on, if you know them in real life or just maybe they're an upline or something. Tina, oh my gosh, I forgot that you were pregnant at 14. Yeah, and again, you made it work. But if anybody asks you, I guarantee you will be like, oh yeah, you should definitely get pregnant at 14. Best decision ever. Right? Like, I've done so many things in my life that I would not want Glory to repeat. Did I come out of them? Yes. Have they taught me lessons? Absolutely. Would I want to go back and repeat it knowing what I know now? Heck no. So, write down one person and start working on a relationship. And then I want you to do that every single week or every 2 weeks if it's overwhelming to do it every week until you're hanging around 5 people that you actually admire and that are causing you to be better. And again, easier said than done. It took me about a year to get to this place, so it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. But I hope this helped. It's Wednesday, so happy Wednesday. Hopefully you have a place to go worship tonight. If not, there are lots of online places, and I will talk to you guys later.